It's New Year's Eve in Taipei, the capital of Taiwan. I'm 24 years old. I'm partying on the street with some of my friends who work by at this nearby hostel. The entire street, about 5 lanes, is all closed down. Everyone is just buzzing with excitement. And then I see her standing there. She's got this long brown curly hair and these big bright eyes and a big smile. And of course, all of these Taiwanese girls are just adoring her and standing there. And I'm rolling my eyes. A year before, I decided to move to Taiwan from Scarborough to connect with my roots. But living in Taipei wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. Partly because learning Mandarin is really hard. It took me a week just to learn how to write my own name. And now, a year in, I could order off a menu, but I couldn't have deep, connective conversations. The things that really make me feel like I'm me. The thing that was even harder was the strange judgment I felt from people. People have this assumption that if you're a Westerner, but you're one that kind of looks like me, that you're there to meet Taiwanese girls and be out at clubs every night and fly money out of your pocket. And that is not me, and those aren't my pockets. And it annoyed me even more when I saw other people doing things like that. And so here I am at this party, and I could see this really cute girl, and I could see she's a Westerner, and obviously she's come here so all these Taiwanese people would fawn over her simply because she looks has similar characteristics of people on billboard ads and Hollywood movies. And anyways, as the party moved on, we all ended up playing this game where we're laying on the floor in the middle of the street, and then people would run and jump over us. And then you felt a little bit of a thrill every time someone ran or jumped right over you. And I ended up lying right next to her by accident. And I look to the right, and then I realize she's looking at me. And I'm like, oh, hey. And she says, hi, I'm Flora. And I say, hi, I'm Adam. She tells me that she's from France, but she doesn't really have an accent. And then the group party migrates over to this big public playground. Some people are standing around, trying to look cool. But then she actually runs in and goes for it. She jumps onto the monkey bars, and people are chasing her, and then she's I don't know. She's really going into it. And I'm okay, maybe she's not that person I thought that she was. So then afterwards she comes up, and after playing some tag, she asked hey, can I have your number? And I was okay, cool. I got a new friend. And I'll admit that there's maybe a little attraction or something there, but that's okay, because it's also just another person you got along with, and it's fine. Chinese New Year's coming up, and I'm talking to some friends about planning a trip. We decide to bike from the northern tip of Taiwan all the way to the south. And so I text Flora to invite her to tag along. At the last minute, everyone drops out, except for me, my best friend, and her. So we go away for a week on this bike trip, and it's so much fun. We didn't really plan at all where we're staying. The first night, we end up sleeping together on the floor of a public bathroom in the middle of a beautiful park. And it's not as gross as it sounds, though. The bathrooms in Taiwan are really clean. The second night, we go into this abandoned building in the middle of the night. When we're sleeping, all of a sudden this guy comes in with a flashlight, and he's shouting at us in Chinese. He's like, "What are we doing here?" We patched enough Chinese together between us, and so he replies, "Come with me. You can come stay at my place." And then we wake up after this really dizzying night, and we realize he lives in this exotic animal sanctuary. It's just a week full of spontaneous moments and incredible views. But honestly, the best part of this trip was just getting to talk to this Flora person. We're chatting, and we're staying up till 4 in the morning, and I'm trying not to keep my friend awake as we're kind of giggling, but nothing's happening between me and her. We're touching each other's arms, and we're finding each other's jokes really funny, and sleeping with our faces getting closer and closer, but And finally, on the last day, I say, hey, I kind of want to ask you out, but we don't have to like kiss or anything, you know? Like, if you want to just go on a date at some point, you know, if you want. And then she says like, yeah, that sounds good. And it feels like, oh, okay, electric. And then shortly after that, we end up holding hands. And the next day, we're basically making out on the train all the way back to Taipei. And then that's it. From that night onward, we spend every single night together. We host parties together. We take trips almost every weekend. People get used to never seeing us apart. It's like we're moving as one unit. And that's okay, because honestly, I don't feel like I need anyone else. Like, I know I'm going to marry this person. I'm set for life. One night, I'm showing her all the most romantic videos I can think of on YouTube. There's this one song by Death Cab for Cutie, which features a couple dancing across the decades until they get old. And I remember thinking, yeah, that's going to be us. Meanwhile, we're talking to each other about our other lives. You know, the French countryside she's from near Lyon, where she lives with her parents, and my life growing up in the suburbs of Scarborough. It's like really cool, but also really weird, because the way that people respond to me and treat me in Taiwan, like, changes. Like, we'll go into a 7-Eleven and I'll feel someone looking and turn around, and then when I see them, they'll turn away. Or we'll go on a trip and we're in a hostel and everyone wants to talk to us, and the receptionist will say, hey, we're having a staff party tonight and we'd love you guys to join us, but don't tell other people in the hostel because there's not room for everybody. And then at the end of the night, inevitably, some Taiwanese dude would come up to me and ask, like, how did you like end up dating someone like that, you know? Like, can you teach me how to do that? And to be honest, like, I really hated that. Like, it was one thing to be judged for like being a creepy Westerner or whatever, but it's another thing to be constantly told by other people, even if it's indirectly, that like who I am or where I come from makes me less worthy than the person I'm with. And that she's special and for some reason, like maybe I'm not or something, I found that kind of annoying. So I felt like I was starting to go stale of this place. Like, this place is starting to go stale for me. And so me and her begin to talk. She's planning on moving back to France to get her master's in several months. And so one night, I get this brilliant idea. Hey, I should come live with you in France. And she's like, yeah, that's a awesome idea. So we start planning out what that's gonna look like. Like, I've been here for over a year and I'm trying to figure out what's next. And I'm excited to know what the next chapter of my life is gonna be. Like, honestly, I just wanna be with her in this place where we're not being judged or looked at by people in this weird way. Like, eventually, her parents and sister come up for a visit from France. Obviously, it's like really nerve-wracking, but I had nothing to be worried about. We get along really great. Like, her parents don't speak much English, but her dad is a music composer, and I play the guitar and I write and I sing. Her mom is really chill and nice, and her sister and I are laughing and getting along. It's like great. And eventually they leave. But like in the weeks that follow, it feels like something's shifted. I keep trying to talk about that plan and when we're gonna start getting our move going. But she won't take any time to speak about it. She keeps giving like these vague answers. Eventually one night, we're walking in the street and I say, I feel like, I don't know if you want this to happen. Like, do you still not want me to come to France? And then she doesn't say anything, and I feel this heavy gurgle in my stomach. And I ask, like, are you questioning if I should go with you? And then she drops her head, and she says, yeah. And so I say, so do you think I should just stop planning to move there? And then she says, yeah, I think that would be better. I feel this heavy ball in my stomach, and I'm so disappointed and sad, and it honestly doesn't make any sense, because we're actually so happy together. And then she starts saying things like, you think things are bad here, But like, wait till you get to France. People there are so racist and they're really assholes. Like, they're really judgmental and very unfriendly. And I'm thinking, why are you trying to protect me? Like, but I also hear that this is her decision and it's what she has to do, and I need to respect that. But we don't break up. For the next month, we're still together, but there's this undercurrent of sadness. We're still happy together, we're laughing, taking trips together, still looking into each other's eyes. Maybe this thought keeps crawling into my head. Is there still hope? Maybe this can still happen. And then she moves. It's a couple months later, and I'm lying in a sleeping bag on the floor of this really dude-ish bachelor apartment where all the walls are painted black and everything's very angular. And I have an idea that I think might work. See, since Flora had left, I'd felt really lost. I left the apartment I was in because I thought I was moving to France, but luckily my buddy said I could sleep on the floor. But it's not just not having anywhere to live. I don't know what the next chapter of my life is going to be anymore. I thought I had that sorted out, but now I'm just kind of wandering around. And it's odd to say, but it feels strange to no longer have everyone kind of seeing me, staring as I kind of walk by. And as much as I hated how people gave us extra attention when we were together, it was a little weird to suddenly feel just invisible. But I'm still speaking to Flora. We're still speaking on video calls constantly for hours. We're staring in each other's eyes, and the magic is still there. And then one morning, I'm lying on the floor, looking up at the ceiling, and I have this brilliant idea. See, her birthday's coming up. I'm gonna go to France and surprise her. I message her sister, and her sister says, I love this idea, it's so romantic, I'm gonna help you out with this, we'll figure it out. So we make a plan. I'm gonna fly to Paris, and I'm gonna take my guitar, and I'm gonna go to her sister's place, and I'm gonna wait for Flora. Her sister will invite her there for the weekend, and Flora will walk in, she'll see me there, I'll sing that Death Cab for Cutie song, and then she'll run into my arms, and we're gonna kiss, and then we'll be there in France, and then she'll see that it was not like she thought it was gonna be, and it's gonna be the most romantic gesture that she's ever experienced. I find this cheap flight, but during the connection, we find out that our plane is delayed for 24 hours. And so her sister and I manically come up with a new plan. I'm gonna go to Paris and then take a train all the way to Lyon where they live. Flora's sister's gonna pick me up, send Flora to the train station, thinking that she's picking up her aunt. But instead of her aunt, it's gonna be me with my guitar singing a song. I'm on the train from Paris to Lyon, and my heart is just like thumping in my chest. This feels surreal. Like, it feels like a movie, but like a real one that's happening. And I'm trying not to think of what's gonna happen. I get off the train, and I can barely breathe. I walk onto the platform, and as I start to pull out this guitar I had on my back, I realize it is incredibly loud here. There's like 200 people in this waiting hall. Everyone's greeting each other, there's conversations everywhere. This wasn't the plan. But I tell myself, okay, I can still do this. I'm holding my guitar. I keep my eyes on the crowd, and then suddenly, I see her walk in. I see her curly long hair and those bright eyes and her big smile, and I think, oh my God, this is Flora. We lock eyes, and it's like my whole being is in this gaze. Somehow, my arm just starts playing, but I'm playing the guitar, but I can't hear it. It's just so loud around. This isn't what's supposed to happen. In the movies, the crowd's like quiet, right? And then the music comes in, but I just keep going. Life is sweet in the belly of the beast, but I can't hear the guitar. I don't know if I'm in tune. I don't even know if I'm singing in tune. And meanwhile, she's standing there and her jaw is open, her eyebrows are up, and she's walking towards me. And people keep walking between us, don't even know that I'm doing a thing. I still can't hear myself, and I'm pretty sure she can't either. But finally, she gets up to me about 2 feet away from me, and I end the song at a natural point, even though no one could hear it. And I can't bear to finish it because it's just too weird. And she says, "What are you doing here? What is this?" And then we give each other a hug. And awkwardly, "Happy birthday, I wanted to surprise you." And she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're here." And we get on the bus to the town where she lives, and I say, "How do you feel? How do you feel about me being here?" And she says, "I'm just really surprised. I'm really surprised." And then we start chatting. We start catching up. And I'm telling her that I'm planning to stay for just 5 days, and her family knows about it. And we're about to step off the bus, and we're all catching up, and then she goes, "You know what? I think I feel good now. I forgot what it's like when we were together. And I feel like we were back a bit into our groove." And then the tightening in my chest kind of loosens up a little bit. We arrive at her family's provincial house, and I see her family. I'm so happy to see them. We start hanging out, and then it's like Flora and I are a couple again. We're holding hands, we're kissing again, we're staring into each other's eyes. We're making her parents' poutine for dinner. We take a road trip to the border of Germany to see this amazing beach. We're biking up and down mountains. To the surprise of both myself and Flora, all the French people I meet are really awesome. Like, everything she said about French people is like not true. They're so charmed by me. Everyone's smiling, and most importantly, I don't have that weird feeling like I had in Taiwan of people treating me weird. Like, it just seems like people like me. And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is working. Like, is this my next chapter?" And on my last day there, we walk out onto this pond together near her house, and we're sitting next to each other. And I say, "Hey, so, what do you think? Do you maybe want to like actually get back together? We could do it long distance, or like maybe we could even move here." And then she drops her head and she says, "No. I told you that already. It's not what I want. Didn't I already tell you that?" And this feeling just rushes in, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, my God, it's really over." And my heart just drops down, and I feel this heaviness. Like I'm tipping forward, and I'm gonna roll into the water. But externally, I say, "Yeah, okay, I respect that." And we go back to the house, and the next day, she takes me to the airport. We're still holding hands, still holding eyes on the train. I get to security, I kiss her, I pick up my stuff, and I walk through the gates. Thanks.